people are in the house tonight. I'm talking about my friend John Bowman. Hey, John. John, you mind? I'm a Pittsburg grad and a member of the class of '65, as are most of the guys on the team that are here tonight.
John.
And I consider this an honor, and a momentous honor, and epic for this team to be here tonight being inducted. Because their season in the fall of '64 was momentous and it was epic. I'm truly honored and thankful to have been asked to introduce the entire team for induction here tonight. I don't know how many other entire teams have been inducted. Have there been any? This is the 5th? It took so long. That's great. I don't think it's possible for most of you in the audience who aren't members of the class of '65 to know just how much what they did meant to us, those of us who weren't on the team, and how much it meant to us then when it was happening, and how much it continues to mean to us over the years. What these guys did not only set a record that hasn't been duplicated in 50 years, they were unbeaten and untied. Hasn't happened in 50 years. But their excellence that season was part of the glue that held us, classmates from the 1965 class, held us together and bonded us together. It bonded us then, and it continues to bond us now. I've remained friends with a lot of these guys. I see them all the time. We have monthly lunches. Members of the class of '65, and some of the players are there, and a lot of the women from the class are there. But the talk always gets around the football. Usually due to Manuel and Alfred starting in on me because I never played football, but we always talk football. Always talk football, and we always talk about their glorious season. And it always takes me back to that fall of '64. I'm sure some of you in the audience weren't even born when that fall of '64 season was played. So let me recap what they did. Again, they were 9 wins, no losses, no ties. They scored 300 points and gave up 54 in the 9 games. 6-point average they gave up, so the defense was just as awesome as the offense was. A lot of guys on offense played both ways. They had six first-team All-DVAL, which was the league win. 6 first-team All-DVAL players. Running back Al Wright, quarterback LEROY Harris, fullback Jesse Curry, guard and linebacker Joe DiMacario, the famous Joe DiMacario. Ray Rodriguez tackled Joe Vigil. And Joe Vigil made all NorCal first team that year. They had, I don't know if they still do the all NorCal, but Joe was the only guy on the team that happened to. May he rest in peace. He's gone now. Flanker and running back Seaburn Hill was second team all DVAL that year and alternated with L.T. Taylor, who went on to NFL fame, another classmate, 65 classmate of mine. Hugh Clark, a name I don't ever remember, was the sports editor of the Post-Dispatch our senior year in high school. I always thought Charlie Zeman was. Maybe he was gone, maybe he had just left. Okay, so Hugh Clark, I had some newspaper articles that I was looking at when I was getting ready to put this together. Hugh Clark at that time said that this is the finest team I've seen, including 10 or 12 other unbeaten teams that I've seen over the years, that these guys were the best he's ever seen. Antioch coach Art McGrath and Pleasant Hill coach Hal Briggs. Pleasant Hill was the preseason pick to win the conference that year. Both of them said that this '64 team was the best they had ever seen. Hal Briggs probably arrived at that feeling after these guys whooped his team 32-0 that '64 season. The team that was supposed to win it all. LEROY was the leading passer in the league. Quarterback LEROY Harris, 13 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions. There was only 2 guys in the whole Bay Area in Northern California, 2 quarterbacks that threw more touchdown passes than LEROY. You might remember these guys. Jim Plunkett had 16, playing in San Jose somewhere, and Mike Holmgren at Lincoln High School in San Francisco had 17, so LEROY was right there. Leroy's 13 touchdown passes were more than every other quarterback in the league combined that season, which is unbelievable. Only because the team ran so well, he probably would have had 33 touchdown passes, but they mainly ran the ball. Alfred Wright led the league in scoring in the DVAL league games, was the league back of the year, averaged 7 yards a carry. I had the pleasure of giving Al's introduction speech when he was inducted individually back in 1999. I spoke longer than Mr. DiStefano wanted me to that night, and so I honed this down. It was originally 2 hours. And after Mr. Scheich and I saw Mike Bertalo getting the half sign, it's only going to be 5 minutes, so I'll be done quickly. Jesse Curry was second in the league in scoring, but led the team.
Number 1.
Jesse led the team in scoring for the season, but for the league games it was Alfred. I had to stand. But Jesse was the overall leading scorer for the team. Please don't hurt me, Jesse. None of this offensive power we had. I mean, you guys remember this offensive line, the starting line, which was had a 150-pound center, Art Alatorre, and he alternated with Sal Cardinelli. Joe D at one guard, and Manny Ramirez at the other guard, the starters I'm talking about. I don't know what the program said. They were my size, 150. 150. What's the Pittsburg line go? 250? 350 now? These guys were 150. Joe Vigil, starting tackle, and John Bonanno, the other one, were close to 200. Joe was probably over 200. And Anthony Saragusa was one of the, and Ray Rodriguez with both the ends. I don't think either one of them was close to 200 pounds. And Vernon? Vernon started 7 games. Vernon Bucciolsi, my friend. The defense, as I said, gave up just 54 points and was as loaded with talent as the offense was. And just an amazing team. And we still get together, we still talk about it. And I don't know if anybody, John Abono said he bleeds black and orange. I don't think he bleeds as much black and orange as I do, though. The one little tidbit about the team, some inside stuff. I don't know how much Leroy's going to say about some inside stuff, but I asked Leroy a couple weeks ago to call him to get some information about the team, some of the things I might not have known, which was a lot of stuff, I'm sure. And I asked him if he ever remembered being sacked. And he thought about it for a minute. He said he doesn't remember ever being sacked. And then he said the line was so good that it was rare for anybody to get through there that would even got close to them. And when they did, he dumped the ball off to one of his running backs. And he doesn't remember ever being sacked. And I don't know if any Pittsburgh quarterback has gone the whole season since then without being sacked. But that seems to be what happened. He also said that he thinks, Leroy said that he thinks he might have been the one who invented a play still used in football today, even in the pros, something called the check down pass. So Leroy dumping off of his back jokingly told me he thought he might have invented that play, and they still use it. The team was also a model of diversity. I'm almost done, folks. We had the Italian side of the line. On one end, that was Anthony Saragusa and John Bonanno and Joe D. and Sal Cardinelli at center. Then when Art was in at center, we had the Mexicans. The other side of the line was all Mexican. It was Art Alatorre, it was Manny Bermudez, it was Joe Vigil, and it was Ray Rodriguez. The entire backfield, black guys. So is there another team in the history of the world that's ever been as diverse as that? I mean, come on. And also the season captains reflected the same racial mix. Ray Rodriguez, Alfred, and Joe D. were the three season-long captains. So we had a special thing going on there. Pittsburgh is a special place. It's full of good and special people. Pittsburgh High School is a special place, a special school and unique school. Pirate football is the king of the athletic program here in Pittsburgh. And this team right here could not have been more special. I want to bring up the guy who so skillfully managed that Houghton offense. Number 11, my friend, quarterback, LEROY.
If you look at the coaching page, you got the 3 coaches on there. You notice my picture's on there too, so that's a significant sign. After hearing the previous inductees, I guess fellows really might have been 6 and 3, huh? The way they're talking. Hey, but you know, all jokes aside, it was a great experience for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the team of 1964. I'd like to take you through a sequence of time. Hey, most of us were born in the years 46, 47, 48, and we were labeled the war babies. Remember? You guys remember that? Okay. Hey, we took on that mentality as warriors too. Okay, we lived in 4 different areas of town. Significant areas. Parkside, downtown, Hillview, and the park. Hey, when I say the park, the boundaries were the railroad tracks, Harbor, and California. Everything in that area. Okay, all of us went to individual elementary schools and primary schools. We were in one area. And the first thing that impacted us as far as football was the 1961 Mallards. Anybody know anything about them? And we have to give a lot of credit and recognition to Coach Smiley. You know, we feel, as our class, this was the start of our legacy. Many of our linemen played for the Mallards. That's where they got their technique, that's where they got their conditioning and desire to win. Our whole backfield was too big to play. Okay, so we had to wait, but we were in the stands watching the games, and we felt the thrill of winning. We watched the Mallards win for 2 years. And then in 1962, it all came together. We came to Pittsburg High School. The guys from Hillview, the guys from Central, and then we united. The 60s was a terrible time in the history. February 1964, Muhammad Ali became champion. Civil rights was big, a lot of discrimination, a lot of segregation. But you know, as a group, we put all that aside. We had a common goal, and we put all that aside, and we came together as football players. And that's all that mattered. And we worked hard. Coach Galley, Coach Becker, Coach Filter, Coach Richardson, and they got it. They made young men out of us. There was a lot of things that we had to deal with. Okay. Sadly, I'm going to change something real quick. Just talking to these guys, I guess I was a terrible quarterback. So my teammates, they say I couldn't run, they say I couldn't throw. I didn't get any kudos from these guys, you know. That's probably why I didn't mind not seeing them for 50 years. So. Hey, but one thing about it, you know what? You know, where the desire really came from, it was in November of 1963. And we were 7-0. And we got shut out. We were juniors. We got shut out by College Park and Mount Diablo. Hey, we cried. We got on the bus and we cried. And we said, next year it will never happen. And we made a commitment from that point on. Hey, a lot of our players, we wrestled. We didn't have to be asked to wrestle. We volunteered. We wrestled with Coach Galley. 5 of us on the football team. We wrestled. You know what? It wasn't about individuals. When they talk about statistics, they didn't even matter to us. How can you talk about statistics when our first team only played half the game for at least 8 games? We talk about running backs that scored 4 or 5 touchdowns. We talk about receivers that caught passes. We talk about touchdown passes. When you're talking about touchdown passes, hey, look at the touchdown passes by the quarterbacks of Pittsburgh High. Mike Dolson was throwing them. DiMaggio was throwing them. I was throwing them. So we might have had 30 touchdown passes. But they were divided up. There was compassion that we had for each other. We cared for each other. And we wanted everybody to play. It wasn't like today where you get a back and let him run 50 times and you run the score of 70-0 and think you have an all-star. Okay? And we shared it. We had at least 10 different people who scored. Okay? We had receivers, 10 different receivers who scored. And we cared for each other. It wasn't a thing about we wanted to play and run the score up and let 20 guys sit on the bench and get no playing time. We weren't about that. Hey, we were about each other. Everybody contributed, everybody getting the glory, and that's how we did it. Thank you.